All right, let's just jump right in. Forget all the fluffy, feel good stuff you usually hear. What we're going to talk about today is more like a brutally honest technical manual for your own mind. Seriously, this isn't some deep philosophy, it's the nuts and bolts operational guide. You know, how your mind actually works, why it seems to mess up so often, and most importantly, the real actionable things you can do to fix it. And we're going to start with maybe the most important and kind of jarring truth of all. It's this simple idea that changes everything. Your brain was not designed to make you happy. I mean, let that sink in for a second. It's not for you in that sense. So if you've ever felt like you're fighting against yourself, well, that's because you are, literally. And here's the core conflict, right? It's like you're running on two completely different operating systems. You, on the one hand, are aiming for things like happiness and success, but your brain, its factory settings have two totally different goals. First, survival. That means it's constantly scanning for threats, not opportunities. And second, energy conservation, which is, well, it's the biological root of laziness. So yeah, your brain is basically designed to be anxious and lazy. It's not a bug, it's a feature. All right, so let's break this whole thing down piece by piece. We're going to start with the hardware, your actual biology. Because here's the thing, probably the biggest mistake we all make is acting like our mind is some separate, magical thing floating around, detached from our body. It's just not true. Your thoughts, your feelings, your entire consciousness, it's all just a product of the physical, chemical reactions happening inside your skull. You are a biological machine, plain and simple. So what's the critical hardware error? What's the mistake that pretty much everyone makes? Well, it's this. We try to solve a physical problem with a psychological solution. We think we can just think our way out of burnout or push through brain fog or out willpower anxiety. But we're completely ignoring what the machine actually needs to run properly. I mean, think about it. You can't outthink a bad diet. You absolutely cannot outthink a lack of sleep. It's impossible. When you're sleep deprived, that part of your brain that handles logic and decision-making, your prefrontal cortex, it literally starts to go offline. And trying to fight your body's natural energy rhythm, that's a battle you're going to lose every single time. Okay, so it's one thing to know the mistakes we're making, but knowing is only half the battle, right? The good news is, for every one of these bugs, there's a clear protocol to fix it. And we're not talking about some vague, fluffy wellness advice here. This is straight up applied neurobiology. So here it is. This is your non-negotiable hardware fix. Step 1. You have to make getting 7+ hours of sleep a non-negotiable part of your life. Anything less isn't just making you tired, it's causing actual cognitive damage. Step 2. Get some sunlight in your eyes within 30 minutes of waking up. This is like hitting the master reset on your body's clock. And step 3. Manage your blood sugar. Use protein and fats to avoid those massive glucose spikes and crashes that just absolutely tank your focus and willpower. Seriously, without these 3 things locked in, all the mindset hacks in the world won't help you. Okay, so once your hardware is stable, it's time to look at the software, your mind's operating system. And here's a crucial thing to understand. Your brain isn't like a camera perfectly recording reality. Not even close. It's more like a prediction engine, and it's running on software that is just full of bugs. We call these bugs cognitive biases, and this software is designed for speed, not accuracy, which means it lies to you all the time. Let's take one of the biggest bugs in the system, confirmation bias. All this means is that your brain doesn't actually search for the truth. Nope, it searches for evidence that confirms what you already believe. And here's the crazy part. The smarter you are, the worse this gets, because you're just better at finding clever ways to prove yourself right, even when you're dead wrong. And there are other huge bugs too. We treat that little voice in our head, our inner monologue, like it's spewing objective truth, when really, most of it is just random, unhelpful noise. We get into arguments not to learn, but to win, to protect our ego. And oh boy, the sunk cost fallacy, we keep pouring time, money, and energy into bad jobs, bad relationships, bad projects, just because we've already invested so much. It's totally irrational. So, okay, if our mental software is this buggy, what do we do? Well, you need a debugging process. You need a specific toolkit to fix these errors. And here are 3 incredibly powerful tools for that kit. Number 1 is cognitive distancing. It's a simple shift in language. Instead of saying, I am sad, try saying, I am noticing a feeling of sadness. See the difference? You're not the feeling, you're the one observing the feeling. It's huge. Number 2, steel manning. Instead of knocking down the weakest version of someone's argument, you build up the strongest possible version of their point, and then you address that. You argue to learn, not just to be right. And number 3, the 10-10-10 rule. Before you make a big decision, ask yourself, how will I feel about this in 10 minutes, in 10 months, and in 10 years? It's a game changer for perspective. Okay, hardware, check. Software, check. Now for the third and maybe most tricky part, the engine. This is what actually drives the whole machine. We're talking about your motivation system, which is all run by a chemical called dopamine. And you gotta understand, the world we live in today is basically a giant dopamine hijacking machine. And this is a really tough pill for a lot of people to swallow, but it's so important. Motivation is a myth. It's just a feeling, and feelings are unreliable, they come and they go. If you only do the work when you feel motivated, you're gonna fail, period. The top performers, the pros, they don't wait for motivation. They build systems and they rely on discipline. And this is the biological reason why. Look, you have a normal baseline level of dopamine. When you do something easy and highly rewarding, like scrolling social media or eating junk food, you get this huge, cheap spike. But your brain can't sustain that. To balance things out, it crashes your baseline below normal. And that's the deficit, the crash. It's that feeling of being bored, restless, and even less motivated than you were before you started. And we fall into these traps every single day. We do what I call cheap dopamine snacking, like the first thing you do when you wake up is check your phone. You're setting yourself up for a crash. Or we get caught in the passion trap, waiting around to find our one true passion, when the reality is, passion isn't something you find, it's something you build through mastery. And finally, we get obsessed with a big outcome, the goal, which is totally out of our control, instead of focusing on the daily repeatable process, which is the only thing we can control. So, if we want to take back control of our motivation engine, if we want to build real sustainable drive, we have to stop relying on feelings and start engineering our environment and our habits. So here's the protocol for that. First, try dopamine fasting. That just means taking a break from all the high stimulation stuff, social media, video games, junk food. Let your brain reset its sensitivity so that normal, productive work actually feels rewarding again. Second, use friction design. It's simple. Make your bad habits harder to do and your good habits easier. Put your phone in another room when you work. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. And third, the 5-minute rule. If you're procrastinating on something, just commit to doing it for 5 minutes. Anyone can do 5 minutes. The funny thing is, starting is always the hardest part. Okay, so we've covered the hardware, the software, and the engine. We've got the whole machine laid out. Now, this last part, this isn't just a summary. This is the final and, honestly, the most important command in the entire user manual. Just let this idea really land for a minute. The biggest danger in life isn't that you're going to fail. The real danger is living a life so carefully, so afraid of making a mistake, that you might as well have been asleep the whole time. The real trap is that paralysis. It's playing it too safe when you know you could be doing more. Because here's the bottom line. You have the manual now. You've read the instructions, but knowledge without action is just entertainment. It's useless. So the time for learning, for just taking in information, that's over. The only thing that actually matters now is doing. But look, that doesn't mean you have to do everything all at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm and quitting. The real path forward, the way you actually make a change, it just starts with one thing. So this is it. This is the final command from your new user manual. Don't just click away from this. Pick one single protocol that we talked about today, the one that kind of hit you the hardest, and execute on it. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now.